and welcome to this new episode of the Positive Impact Business Podcast. I'm here today with Zoe Law, who is the CEO. Should I say CEO? How do you want to be called, Zoe?
Oh, that sounds so
Start,
grand. I
start
normally just say founder.
Founder. So the founder of Sourcery, which is a wholesale sustainable shopping
We're
supermarket, kind
we're
of.
we're an online wholesale marketplace for local and sustainable products in the UK.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's what it is. You know, obviously, it way better than I do because you are the founder of Sourcery and you're going to tell us everything about it today. For those who never listened to the Positive Impact Business podcast before, let me tell you a bit more about what it is. We are a community of positive impact entrepreneurs who are trying to change the way business is done, to change the way, I guess, through economy and through how business work, maybe change our society and to make it, a bit better, a bit fairer, a bit more ethical, a bit more sustainable for us and generations to come. And this podcast is dedicated to these business and these entrepreneurs who are striving and really working hard to make this happening, and we are here to learn about their story. But also, if you are yourself a positive impact entrepreneur, you're thinking about starting your positive impact business, this is your chance as well to learn from other entrepreneurs and their story and their journey, and see, learning from their experience, so you can maybe skip some steps, and move a bit quickly forward quickly. Oh my god, today is terrible. Please forgive me for my babbling today. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure we're going to have an amazing chat today. So please, Zoe, tell us everything about Sourcery, and tell us more about, where did it all started? Why did you start at Sourcery in the first place?
Sure. First of all, I just want to say thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be here. I love your podcast. Um,
Thank
so
you.
so yeah, like I said, Sourcery is an online marketplace for local and sustainable products. So I actually have a slightly random kind of career background. When I first graduated, I only wanted to work in charities because social impact was really important to me. And I actually worked in charities for 3 years, whilst also helping on different startups as well. And then I went back to do a master's at the LSE on political economy of late development, where we look at things like 200 years of development, like how does it happen, and both from my experience working in charities, where I felt like at least a lot of it, because the beneficiaries and the donors were different people, then there's always a little bit of a tension in terms of, well, what should be the priority, like who should really have the agency. And also, when I studied my master's, it was very clear that actually often it's economic structures and like the systems of our everyday life that changes, that really changes, like the big changes. And that's when I thought, okay, I want to actually go into the business world and understand how business decisions are made, and then how these micro decisions change how everything works. And so I ended up working moving to China and actually working in alcohol anti-counterfeiting for a company called Pernod Ricard, for basically working on putting QR codes on every single bottle, so then we can trace it from warehouse to wholesaler to retailer to consumer, and then basically use that to understand how everything works. And through that, I found a way to use it for marketing, business intelligence, all these kind of things. And it meant that I understand how big, started to understand a bit more of how big corporations work. And then since then, I moved into consulting, where I've spent after that 8 years in consulting, working for companies like IKEA, Johnson & Johnson, to companies like EDF, looking at how to basically launch new products and services or start completely new businesses for them. And it's been really, really useful to help me understand how things work. And I've always kind of thought I really want to use these skills to really do what I'm passionate about. Throughout this time, I've been involved with 7 different startups. I've helped out on different things that but they're always the side thing. And I always kind of thought one day I would want to use these skills that I've gained to do something that I really believe in. So yeah, so I guess that was always at the back of my mind until Christmas last year. I was chatting to one of my friends who's a restaurant manager, and she was saying how she was trying to make more sustainable choices for a restaurant, but it was quite difficult. She said she had to read up and do a lot of research to figure out, what's more sustainable, this packaging or that packaging, all those kind of things. But also because a lot of these suppliers were smaller suppliers, she ended up with 200 suppliers, and then she spent a lot of time trying to consolidate it because it was just an admin nightmare. So I kind of thought, well, yeah, there must be something out there that's easier. And I searched and I couldn't find something. And so I thought, well, maybe this is something I can do. So yeah, that's when the idea started. And I left RGA, where I was a associate director in their consulting department, to launch this. And so half a year later, I have just launched. So yeah, and
You launched last month in October, I think. In October,
in August.
in
Yeah,
August you launched, yeah.
yeah. Time just passes way too quickly. Everything feels like, oh, that was yesterday. But yeah, so and it's been an amazing journey for me. The thing that I really love about this is I think this is a way to make it easier for small retailers to differentiate themselves, especially against larger supermarkets like the Sainsbury's and Tesco's of the world. So it's good for them, but it's also good for the small suppliers I work with. And to be honest, just meeting the suppliers I work with, I think it's really inspirational how much they've done. And so the idea of helping them grow their business as well really motivates me. I'm sorry, I just realized I've been ranting, so
No,
back
that's fine.
to
I mean,
you.
it's. I mean, you're passionate about it, and it is a passionate. It is a very interesting topic, and what I love about your business outside of the essence of it, which is to provide a sustainable option and the ease to get access to these sustainable options to retailers, but also restaurants and other I guess business who would need supply from other businesses, wholesale. What I love about it is that, as you just mentioned, you are impacting three audiences. Directly, you're impacting the people who are trying to sell their product to more businesses, and you help them build, grow their brand. And you're impacting the retailers who are trying to have more sustainable options in their catalogs and what they offer to consumer. And the third party is obviously consumers themselves, by providing that ease of access. And I think that's where a lot of consumers struggle to get, even though there is more and more, because I mean they're popping out every day, but even though there's more sustainable choices available, it is still a struggle it is still kind of a huge effort, I feel, for consumer to make an active choice to go and make the effort to buy more sustainably, and unless it's already on the shelf in the shop. And that's that's the hard transition now we need to see happening, and it's through people like you that this is going to happen. So I'm really I love the whole the 360-degree impact that your business is going to enable. That's the word.
Thanks. I mean, you make me blush here.
Well
But
done, you should be proud.
thanks. I mean, before I started this, I went through my own personal journey of trying to become more sustainable. And, everything from using soap bars and shampoo bars instead of like shower gel, or things like getting sponges that are compostable, all these things. But because for me, I just had to order everything online. And to meet minimum deliveries, there's only so much, like there are only so many sponges I need, right? And so it does make it a little bit, harder. And I do think that for a lot of places, and I actually live in Tottenham in London, and you can see here how the local communities are changing and it's gentrifying, and I think it's, and you can see that it's very much crying out for this type of product. But at the same time, when I look at some areas that have already been gentrified, so say like if you look at Muswell Hill, it's really sad that a lot of the corner shops have disappeared. The only ones that still survive are specialist ones, because there's an M&S there, there's a Sainsbury's there, there's a Waitrose there, and I also don't want that to be the case, and so I think like it, in my ideal scenario, as we grow, I would want to develop a microgrid of lots of small retailers and lots of
Mm,
small brands, so then they can kind of directly buy from each other through the
yeah,
platform.
I love that. And on the topic of sustainability, I think in a second I'll ask you. I'm asking you the question now, but you can answer it in a minute. What is your definition of sustainability? Because often, I mean, I feel like the last year or so, that became like such a trendy word for good reason, for bad reason, but unfortunately, there is that huge shortcut and misconception about sustainability that it's all about being more ecological, less, less carbon footprint, these kind of things, less wasteful and that kind of thing. That's actually just one aspect of sustainability, and there are actually three major pillar, which is people, profit, planet, right? And planet ecology, and trying to be more mindful of the environmental impact that we have is great, but it's just one aspect. And I think with what you're doing as well, I'm just coming back to that idea that you just said about having that network of retailers, but also the fact that you don't want to see your neighborhood like change so much and not have this little corner shop, because they're part or of community life, right? And they are part of what makes our everyday life as well, sustainable, if that makes sense, in the sense that well, if you can shop local, you don't need to buy from 30,000 kilometers away, and import from everywhere. So yeah, tell us more about your vision, like your take on sustainability and how that kind of integrates together, because I really want to hear it from you. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure. Yeah, I think there are so many aspects of it. I mean, first of all, in terms of what products we allow on our platform, we have a list of criteria. There are like 25 different things that make something sustainable, and we do focus on the environmental part for that. So they could be things like made from waste product, compostable, recyclable, zero waste. And I put this together with a friend who works at the environmental think tank C40. So there's someone who's much more qualified than I am to actually look at that. And so any company that's on our platform, they tick at least two of the boxes to be on there. And for every single product, we actually have a question on there that is displayed on the site on like what makes your product more sustainable than other similar products. So that's kind of, I guess, the clear environmental part. But other than that, yeah, the community part is really important, I think. I actually find it very sad that whether I go to a corner shop in, say, Edinburgh or Dudley, yes, I've been there, Fort William, or like London, you always get the same products. And it's
Yeah, I
because,
see what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a bit of a shame. And if you think about it as well, like and it's because everyone shops at Costco's or like Booker's, and by the way, Booker's is also owned by Tesco's. So it's very I think there's something about bringing more color and having more of a closer community that's important. And I think building those links are really important. And, you know, like we said about the corner shops as well, you know, when I go to visit a lot of these corner shops, that you can see that when people come in, the owners know them. They go, oh, how's your cat? You know, I heard that was sick the other day and things like that. And, you know,
Yeah.
that's what gels, you know, communities together. And
Mm.
I think if we can be that missing link, that would be really wonderful. And another part to what we're building is, you know, we always get asked, do you want to have centralized warehousing? No, we absolutely do not want that. You know, I don't want to be the next Costco. That is
Mm.
not what we're trying to do. Actually, by building these networks that all interact with each other, the idea is um, the suppliers will send the products directly to the buyers. So it's a bit more of a drop shipping model. And I think that's actually by design, and it's important because then you don't have that extra transport of going to a different warehouse and back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's also how we're trying to build all of this in to the system itself. And another thing that is important to us, and I think like makes us a bit different from like just going to Amazon and buying something, is we do try and, you know, both through the descriptions but also how we work with our buyers, we help them understand a bit more about the product and actually what products might be most suitable for their audience. Because, for example, if you're selling beeswax wraps, which is a good alternative for cling film, and it's reusable and biodegradable, but the way that you use it will be different from cling film. So that means um, the store owner, to be able to, you know, actually sell this successfully to consumer, they would have to understand this product. Why is it better than an existing product? Why, you know, and how would they use it? So those kind of things, and be able to help them understand why stocking these products would be good for you, why, you know, like which ones you might want to try first that maybe wouldn't occupy as much space, that would be a good star product, and like how to then drive that sale. That's kind of what we're hoping to achieve as well. So yes, we are a wholesale marketplace, but we're hoping to um, facilitate in a
You're
more
not just a replacement. You're not just a sustainable option replacement for a product. You want to create a, relationship with your customers, with the suppliers, and make sure that you can also allow them to, through the of course, but through the products that they implement in their shop, you can also help them grow and understand better, what products would work more. Do I have millennials families coming to my corner shop every day, or is it more, boomers? Are they Gen Z? Like, what kind of customers do I have the most? Is it more children who are coming and do the shopping, or is it the teenagers? And then understanding what's gonna drive more buying for this or that. And I think that's great that you're bringing that. I don't recall. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I don't know the whole internet, and I don't know the whole world. It's probably people doing that. But on the top of my head, I can't imagine. I don't think about a wholesaler who does that. Who does bring that. How to say that? A company, is that the right word? Who accompany their customers to, use their product, so that, you're not just selling them something, you're bringing more to their shop. I'm finding hard to find the right words to express myself right now.
we're just hoping to give a bit more support than I guess the average
That's it, you're supporting them as well. Exactly, that's the word I was looking for. So yeah, I would really love to know more about what kind of challenges that you faced when you very first started, to understand a bit more where you come from, 6 months, 8 months back in time. What are the big things that you faced and that maybe you weren't expecting at all, and be like, what am I doing with this, or what am I doing now, or what am I doing altogether? And how did you overcome them? What helped you overcome these challenges?
Wow. To be honest, it feels like there's just so much I can say about this. I can go on forever. But I think there's, I mean, with starting any new business, you always start off with some assumptions, and then, often they're not true. So it's just having to go through all of these. So, first of all, um, when I first started, as I said, I was talking to a friend to own a restaurant, and I wasn't sure, are restaurants really my target, or like who are my target? So I ended up interviewing a lot of people. So I spoke to some restaurants, cafes, but also a load of office managers. Um, so it turns out office managers buy a lot of milk. Apparently, that's a key purchase item. There you go, random knowledge. And also looked at, what if I was more like a middleman for, say, like Etsy sellers for like packaging, that type of thing. Also, yeah, I talked to quite a lot of different people. And through that, and also spoke to a lot of zero waste store owners. And that's kind of through that I realized, okay, actually for restaurants, the products that they really are looking for is more like raw ingredients, and that's more to do with, say, like connections with farms and stuff, which is very complicated, and it just isn't a challenge that I can really deal with. I looked at office managers, and I felt that actually that's not really where the big impact would be. Obviously, with COVID, the work environment has also changed, so we're yet to see how much people actually go back to an office environment. And then there's yeah, and so like through all these different things, I did more and more research into the different types of businesses, and actually just going into shops and talking to people, which is not necessarily my comfort zone. So all those things, so I guess those are different things that I learned. So also, because having spent all this time as a consultant, right? So I'm quite I'm very comfortable giving presentations to like I don't know, like a CEO or like really senior person in a company. That's absolutely fine. But actually going in and then talking to, basically elevator pitching a corner shop owner and trying to figure out, are you the owner, or should I be talking to someone else? Like, that type of thing. It's more daunting. That's something I found quite hard. And it's not that we never did user research, but I think it's very different when, I don't know, you get a research company who finds you 5 people to interview about a product, versus actually just going and standing in a store and then just trying to, convince someone that you're not a con man, and please talk to me, and this might actually be interesting for you. So yeah,
But how can you tell us more about this experience? Because I feel like in any case, whether it's a corner shop owner or just like a just random consumer, I think that talking directly to your potential customers or audience is really hard, but it's
yeah,
like the best exercise you could ever do. And in terms of what you're going to learn and take away from these conversation, you will never take as much in a survey online or that kind of thing. So I'd love for you to tell us more about this, because um, I always preach about it. I bang on the head of people about it. But having someone, talking about it for themselves, is really important because it's from your experience. So can you tell us more about that? How was it for you? And what did you learn out of it? How was it useful and dreadful at the same time?
I mean, it was incredibly useful. So talking, going into the shop, actually, uh, I first of all I noticed that how I guess as a newcomer, right, you just think, okay, convenience store, but actually, you know, they're all they all have different characteristics, and they tend to be family businesses. And so there are things that I realized that just standing there before I even talk to someone, looking at the stock, it's easier to understand, okay, is this an owner that will be more likely to be interested in something? So some stores already started selling some organic, like tin tomatoes, stuff like that. You can see like some of them are collect plus spots. Then you know that, okay, they are open to doing something digital. um, and so those are things, some of the things I learned. And then obviously you talk to them, and so I learned a lot more of actually the products they care a lot more about are like alcohol products, because that's what they sell the most of. And so all the other household items, I think it's something that I'm still trying to figure out. Is this actually a good thing for them to do? Because maybe that would increase the use cases, because right now most people go to corner shops when it's convenient, but they don't do the weekly shop in the corner shop, except in rural areas where they do. So in which case, if you add these products, potentially this could be a reason for new customers to come to you and have new use cases. But that would be very different in terms of the positioning of just saying adding an additional product to like a range
Yeah.
that you really do. So those are some of the things. And also I realized that actually often, because family businesses are very different from corporates, as I found out. So people have different
As a
roles. So
matter of fact.
there are things like, the husband does like all the purchasing, but actually the wife does all the digital things because she's like on her phone more. And so then like actually you need to talk to both of them, because you talk to one of them and they go, yeah, but you need to ask my wife. And then you talk to the wife, and the wife is like, yeah, but like he's the one who does the purchasing. So you're like, okay, how can I get both of you? So all
Let's
these kind
go
of
for
things.
coffee, guys.
Yeah, actually, exactly. But well, also that's the other thing. So the typical corner shop owner works more than 60 hours a week. They have no time. So actually, just like talking to them and understanding what are the pressure points, like what are the things that they care about. So convenience is super important, margin is super important. Like how do I make that kind of more obvious in the design of our site? But there's also things like talking to I was talking to another corner shop owner, and she was saying how she's lived in the local area for 19 years, and she sees how the people have changed. It used to be a lot more families, now it's a lot more students, or people who just like move in and out in like 2-3 years. And how actually co-op opening right opposite her, how that's changed things. So just actually understanding the mindset,
Mm,
what was really helpful in understanding, okay, these are the people that I really want to design for.
mm.
And how do I put myself into their shoes? And then think about, okay, when they go onto my site, like, what do they think? Would they care about this? Maybe they don't
Yes,
care about this.
yes, yes. Yes, sorry, I'm just really excited because
As
you're
I was
just confirming everything that I say all the time. But
yeah,
yeah, no, that's exactly why talking to people directly is so powerful, because you get to at some point, learn so much about them. You see patterns, you see habits that are, starting to build, and you're like, right, I can really picture, what it's like to be in their shoes. And that's how you can create a product, an offer, a site, whatever that is, that resonate with them. And that goes beyond that goes with your brand, that goes with your marketing and everything that you do, so that what you're offering is really centered around them, rather than what the assumptions you have about them. And that's really important to differentiate both. And it's good to have assumption and hypothesis, but you still need to confront them to reality. and hence the talk with people. So no, that's great. I'm really glad that you managed to do that. And I believe that's an ongoing journey. That's not something you do once. That's something you're probably going to batch do once when you start the business, and you're going to do like a lot of it obviously when you start, because you need a lot of data. But it's still something that you're going to keep doing ongoing. You know, it's like an ongoing thing that you're going to keep doing to keep refining what you're doing as you go, because your customer base, just like your shop owner who's been 19 years in the neighborhood and seen, you know, families and students and this and that, you got to keep moving with what's, you know, with your audience and how they're changing as well. So yeah.
I mean, I have to say, like, it was really helpful talking to you before, because I remember we had a conversation about you know, forgetting the questions you want to ask and just like going as a human, which sounds so stupid, but it's so true and helpful.
Oh god, I'm so glad that was helpful.
I was wondering, do you have any like tips on, like, I guess, what other, because especially when you're approaching people and they don't necessarily have a lot of time, or also like it's hard to know if they're the right stakeholder. You know, do you have any tips on how you would approach this?
So I'm a bit of a control freak in the sense that well, I don't know if that's right, but I've got that kind of like irrational fear of rejection. So I will always plan things to make it work for me, and avoid rejection at all point. Like, that sounds crazy, but it works. I mean, it works for me somehow. It does work for me. So the way, if I was in your shoes with my mental state, I would be like, I would first probably, you know, scan, okay, this is the area I want to focus on first. How many corner shop are they? Can I find any information about them online first and foremost? You know, what can I gather? What kind of information can I gather without even seeing them ever? Then I would probably go to the store and get a glance and understanding, you know, is it the, as you were saying, like just looking at the shelves, you can tell maybe that these kind of product or that kind of, maybe actually not at all, because it really sounds like that's not going to work for them, or they're not going to be open to it, you know. So I would start doing that, then refine your list of people potential that you want to talk with, and I would probably try and phone them first. Like, just phone them and get to see, like, can I speak to the owner, can I speak to the manager, or you know, and trying to just like present myself and explain, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm trying to do, and to ensure that what I'm doing is actually answering actual needs of people like you. It would be really useful for me if I could have just like a casual conversation with you. Is there any time for you during the week I can pop in at a time where it's quiet and, you know, you don't have so much to do, and that's, you know, probably better for you. I can bring a coffee or a tea, whichever you prefer, you know. I would probably get it that way rather than necessarily go direct in the shop, because I feel like, and I know you mentioned that before to me in a previous conversation we had, like when you go directly in the shop, you're in between customer. You don't want to interfere with the actual people who are, you know, actual customer who come to buy, and you don't want to be in the way, and you don't want to be looking like a nuisance, like an annoyance. Is that a word? Yeah, you don't want to be in the way, basically, because, and you know, also being in that position, depending on the personality of the person, depending on, you know, whether they had a long day already or not, whatever mood they're on, if they have had their cigarette break or not, you know, there's so many parameters that could, so depending on the mood of the person at this very time you're coming in, unannounced, you know, obviously it could go very well if it's quiet and the person is in a good mood, or it could go very wrong and the person is just like, I don't have time for you right now, I don't want to be sold anything, because most likely you're trying to sell me something, because that's how they used to get, like, most of sales, wholesale, they're going directly in the shops and, you know, trying to have a chat. So I think I would prepare the chat, like I would prepare the opportunity as much as I can, so that it's not a surprise for them, and so that it's a moment they choose, it's a moment of their time they chosen to give me, rather than I'm taking a moment of their time, if that makes sense. That would be the first thing. I don't know if that answer a lot of your question. If there was something else behind that question, I think that you were saying.
Yeah, that was really helpful. I've actually written that down. So yeah, and I guess when you do actually speak to the owners, do you have any tips on like, how to um, get the boat like the most useful feedback?
Mm. So, you know how I told you don't go with your list of question. Of course, like don't make it sound like an interview, because not because well, the reason why I'm saying this is because it's human nature to try and guess what the other person wants us to say,
Hmm.
right? It's just our human nature. So um, we're biased to be biased, if that makes sense. Like, if you're asking me a very specific question, um, I'm going to try and guess. It's not going to be conscious, but I'm going to try and guess what you would expect me to tell you, or what you want me to say, or what you want to hear. What does she want to hear? And give you that answer. So the answer is not going to be their very own personal opinion. So what I would do is making sure that you've got at least, I would say, five very specific question that you really need an answer to, right? And then you can prepare that in advance before the chat, and try and even rehearse that with a friend, or your husband. Rehearse the conversation. How can you go around that topic in a very more casual conversational way, without ever explicitly, pointing out this is the specific question that I have. And often it's really like, it's hard to give you specific tips with that, because it's really about having a conversation and making sure that you're actively listening to what they're saying, so that you can rephrase what they're saying. So, so if I understand well, you're saying that this and this and that, and that's the reason why this and this and that. And maybe they're going to say, yes, exactly. And they're going to continue and they're going to develop, or they're going to say, no, 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 that's not what I meant. And they're going to, jump on and re-explain what they actually meant. So it's really about, trying to make the conversation as casual as possible around kind of like basic topics, but asking, details like of why, of how, and rephrasing is really like a very good
Building
exercise, or to make that, basically to make them confirm that you've actually understood what they're saying. You're also showing them, doing that, you're also showing them that you're actively listening to them and you're actually caring about what they're saying, which is a really good thing for your relationship, because just having this chat with that person, you're starting building a relationship with them. So that's like, good points for you as well. But rephrasing is really going to help you confirm that you understood what they said. And if not, then they're going to explain more, and they're going to rephrase, or come back to what they were saying. Okay, so no, what I meant was blah blah blah. And that's how you're going to get to the bottom of things. I would say so. But I would have my 5 core questions that I need to kind of get an answer to, and see how within a casual conversation, because obviously you've been through these, you've been talking to these people already, so you have an idea of what kind of topics you're kind of going around, so what time do you get, what time do you get up in the morning, like why did you start this business, like how is it to work with a family. So all of these kind of like casual conversation topics, and how within these you can like start narrowing down to what you want them to reveal to you without directly asking them that. So it's kind of like, layer by layer, and because you build you build trust as well doing that, where if you come, it's a weird thing to say, but it's like if you had someone who say, "Hey, do you want to come have sex with me tonight?" You know, you've never met them before, and you're in the street, and like, no, I don't know you. You're creepy. You know, like what? But if you're like, "Hey, I've noticed you were reading this book earlier in the train, and I really love that book. What's your favorite part of this book? And like, can we have a coffee later?" And blah blah blah. And then you start building. It's layers, right? I mean, I guess my sex example was a bit crazy, but it's really, you know, it's really about making sure that, yeah, if you go straight for the question, they're gonna try to assume the answer you want them to say, and they're not going to give you the answer that you actually need, and it might be even uncomfortable to have that direct asking straight away as well. So it's not like direct asking, direct question, like very specific direct question. For me, doing that research work is like the opposite of what you want to do. You need to have them because you need to know what you're looking for. Because if you just go in there without an objective, without a goal, then what's the point? You know, like, yeah, it's good to know the people that you're going to buy from, that you're going to try to, you know, sell to, and your audience, and there's a lot of information that you're going to get out of it. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to go far, you know. So you do need to know what are the questions that you want an answer to, but then try to see how you can go around them without directly asking. And I think rehearsing is a really good way to do it. I've done that before personally.
I will definitely be boring my husband on that. Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome.
No,
I see the
that's
time flying. Sorry, I see the time flying, and I just wanted to ask you very briefly before we wrap up if there was anything else that you wanted to ask me, or if there was anything else you wanted to add about your journey, or yeah, anything else about your business, and then we could wrap up.
I think that's most of it for me. I think I just have a little surprise for your
All
listeners.
right. Awesome.
So, um, so yeah, I we've actually got a special discount for any of your listeners. It's if they order on Sourcery, the first order they will get £15 off, as long as the order is over £100. And also if they are a sustainable brand, because I know a lot of your
Mm-hmm.
a lot of your listeners are people like us, then it would be, yeah, then please do go on our site as well. We're currently looking for more brands to join our platform. And for early birds like you, then we would also have 50% off commission for the first year as well.
Oh, wow, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. And we'll make sure to put all of the details of that in the description down below, whether it's on Spotify or if you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere else, you will find the information. Well, thank you so much, Zoe. That was absolutely a pleasure to have this conversation with you, as it is every time, but this time recorded and to share with our community. And if you are yourself a positive impact entrepreneur or positive impact business startup, whichever you label yourself, as long as you want to have a positive impact with your business, we are welcoming you, you know, in our community. Yeah, we'll link all of the details down below, and we hope to meet you anytime soon. And yeah, Zoe, thanks again for being with me today. And it was absolutely amazing, and to learn more about how also, you know, you've grown so much since the first time we've met. And it's like a pleasure to see you bloom, you know, it's really, really a pleasure.
Thanks, Lucy. On or off air, I love chatting to you anyway. And thanks for the tips again.
Thank you. Me too. All right. Well, have a good day and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.